Okay, so I'm going to show you how to upload the avatar clothing items into the game once you draw them in Illustrator. So let's open up Flash. Let's open up the skeleton file, which is in the main Stone Cows art folder. Avatar items, skeleton.fla. And here you'll see the two avatars that we use in the game, the male and female versions. If you double click on one of them, you'll go into the symbol. You'll see that there's four views, and basically two of them are in versions of each other, so there's really only two views of the avatar, the front and the back. It's pretty easy to put the items, move them from Illustrator and actually get them into the game, but there's a lot of little details that you need to get right, so hopefully this video will help you do that. So let's start by adding in this blonde hairstyle, which Lauren did very nicely. I'll show you how to do that. So let's double click on the front facing character, female version, and then it's actually one more layer deep, so we'll double click again. And you can see that every avatar body part is basically its own layer. And within that, obviously, it's their own symbols, so the structure is pretty complex. So when you're doing this, just make sure you have the right layer selected, because things can sometimes overlap and get confusing. So just to make it easier, I like to lock all the layers and then unlock the layer I'm working with, which would be the head, because that's the layer that is contained in the hair. Inside the head, we have the hair, mouth, eyes, nose, and eyes, and then the skin layer is always on the bottom. So let's open up the hair, double click on that. Now, what we're trying to do here is figure out the correct positioning for the new hairstyle that we're publishing. So this template right here was basically we designed the positioning of the hair for this particular hair item. So this is positioned at the 00 registration point. But obviously, if we're uploading this one, it's a different shape, and if we were to put this at the 00 point, it might not look right. So I'll show you that in a second. I'll just copy the hairstyle, press Ctrl-C to copy it, go back into Flash, make a new layer, Ctrl-V, paste it back in there. And just let it import. And again, I'm not actually changing the skeleton file, I'm only using the skeleton file to figure out the correct coordinates of the new hairstyle that we're uploading. So if I were to, for example, put this at the 00 position, that's what it would look like. And that's, that's pretty bad. So the easiest way to do this is to just manually position it to where it's supposed to be. And it seems to me like that would be the correct positioning for this item. And you could always go back and tweak it once it's actually in the game, which I'll show you in a minute. And that looks good. So let's just select everything and make note of the position. Its x coordinate is minus 47.5, y is minus 10.3. And just for good measure, I'll just copy it, Control-C again. And now what I'm going to do is open up a template hairstyle. So in Stone Cows Art avatar items, you'll see there's a hair folder. Let's open up the FLA folder. And let's start with female hair 1. And the reason we're starting with a template file here is because there's a special linkage in each symbol. And if you were going to make a new FLA file for the hairstyle, you'd have to set up that linkage yourself, but this is already done for you. So all you really have to do is replace the graphics. So that's the easiest way to go. So I'm just going to delete the hairstyle in the template, press Ctrl-V to get the new hairstyle in there. And now what we're going to do is copy back that position in the properties tab, if you just go to Windows Properties, if it isn't already there, if you're not familiar with Flash, go to Properties, and then you have to actually select the group, and it'll give you the positioning. So now that that's positioned correctly, let's go ahead, save the FLA file, and it doesn't really matter what you name it, just something that describes the item so that you know you easily reference it again later. I already actually have it in there, so we'll call it blonde hair. Now we're going to export the SWF, and the SWF is what we're actually going to upload into the game through the administration interface. So we're in hairstyles. Let's save it in the SWF folder. Blonde hair. And again, it doesn't really matter what you name it because the game is going to rename everything automatically for you anyway. So this is the admin interface, and if you don't have a link for it, I'll send it to you in a separate email. So just once you click on that, click the main control link on the left, and these are all the categories of items in the game. So we're working with avatar items right now, so I'm going to select hair. We're uploading a female hairstyle. I'll just show you a new one. So let's just call it blonde hair 2. I think there's already a blonde hairstyle in there. Just put min-level 1. That's only so that you can actually see the hairstyle in your version of the game. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about any of these fields right here. The color, cash cost, Weebucks cost. You don't need to worry about that. For sex, since we're uploading a female style, let's just select female. Let's set it to active, and if you don't set it to active, you just won't see it in the game, and we do that for limited time items that might not always be available for sale. And the item image, let me just show you, it's basically just a small thumbnail that the player can see in the game. I'll show you how to create that. All you really have to do is, when you're in Flash, instead of publishing the movie, this SWF, just go to export image, and instead of exporting into the SWF directory, export it into the PNG directory, and you see it even has the same name that you saved the FLA as, and just call it blonde hair. Make sure to select minimum image area for the include dropdown. And just click OK. So that creates the thumbnail that we'll use. So for item image, let's go into hairstyles, PNG. And actually this is bad because it seems like there was some symbol somewhere that, if you look, is not completely encapsulating the item. There's some extra white space, so we did not create the thumbnail in the best way. Right then, I'm trying to figure out what that could have been. Okay, so just forget everything I just said about the creation of the item thumbnail. The best way of doing it is I just created a new template FLA file called thumbnail template, which is in the same directory as the skeleton file. So just open that up. You'll see a small stage area which represents the full size of the thumbnail that you'll create. So it's real simple. Just go into the blonde hair, or whatever the symbol is that you're uploading. Copy it, paste it in here, and now it must be resized so that it fits completely on the stage. So we'll do modify, transform, free transform, and just grab the bottom right corner to resize it, and hold down shift to constrain it to even proportions and keep that aspect ratio constant. And I think it looks best if it's centered, so we'll just go ahead and center that. Then when we're happy with it, file, export image, actually created it, so I'm just going to overwrite. And this time we're going to say include full document size. And press OK. Now we can go back into the interface, select the blonde hair thumbnail that we just created for item image, and now for Swift, we're going to upload that Swift file that we published. We called it blonde hair. Just select that and just click update. We'll see it right there. That's the thumbnail. Now if you want to actually see it into the game, we go to the test version of the game, which is apps.facebook.com/weedvillegame, and refresh. You always have to refresh, otherwise any updates you do won't show up. Let's click the avatar in the top left corner up here. This just click that right there. It'll bring up the avatar customization pop-up window, and you can actually see